Now, for a lot of people, that staying active does not involve the bedroom. Because if you're living with someone, how do you feel about separate bedrooms?
Well, it's a good question. There is a growing number of couples who've decided to go for a so-called sleep divorce.
Okay, the hashtag separate bedrooms has gained more than 1 million views on TikTok, and social media users say that at night time they kick their partners out of bed. Why? To get a better sleep.
Well, sleep coach Max Kirsten is here with us. Kick him out?
Good morning, Isabel.
Good morning.
It's a good one. I mean, look, it is actually a thing. Getting a sleep divorce, which doesn't sound as bad as it sounds. I mean, it just sounds like the end of a relationship. But it is a thing that can almost invigorate some relationships, because if everyone's tired and grumpy continuously, that's not going to be good. It's sort of... There's the first part is 2 beds aside, which doesn't mean you have to leave the room. And not everyone has a spare room, let's be honest.
Or a room big enough for a super king bed or whatever.
It isn't always that easy.
Yeah. There's always the sofa, darling.
Or at least a decent sofa bed. But, I mean, it's a last resort, surely. I would have said that first moves, if the partner snores, you can obviously encourage them to do things, but get some decent sound-blocking earplugs. This is 35 decibels, 46 decibels. That can help. If it's to do with they come to bed later or work shifts, and there's a lot of movement and sound, earplugs and an eye mask, because if someone's turning on the light when you're asleep, that's disruptive. If it's to do with getting in and out of the bed and there's movement, separate beds is a good idea, very 50s or going back in time. There are now beds that actually they eliminate motion transfer.
Do they?
Yes,
so
we've got one of those.
So you can get into the bed and
Yeah.
the other person doesn't sort of bounce.
Really?
Yes, we've got one of those.
There's a number of them. My favourite's a Panda, but there are others. And it really is about how they're designed so that you don't get that jolt. So if you don't see the light, we've dialed down the snoring.
But Isabel and I have this common problem, I suppose, which is getting up in the middle of the night and turning on things like hair dryers and, trying to groom yourself, trying to wash and shave, in Isabel's case.
Well, so the ensuite bathroom issue, I mean, sometimes there are no alternatives other than just not to turn the light on. If the electronic appliances are noisy, move them elsewhere. Those are negotiations. Ultimately, if it's the snoring, if it's just unbearable and there is a spare room or the kids have left or there's just somewhere...
So you think it's a real thing? You're not denying it's a real
100%
thing?
100% a real thing.
It's a real thing.
100%.
But could we be blowing it all out of proportion? If this becomes an acceptable way or a standard way of doing things, a sleep divorce, then you see, I think the danger is, and this is where it puts pressure on people like me, that when it becomes a
non-divorce, when you're back together,
that puts the pressure on, because it's saying, you know what's expected of you then.
Well, look, as a sleep coach, I see people with more severe problems, but snoring is a severe problem. If people are in a separate room, both will probably sleep much better.
Yeah.
The disturbances won't be there. Deeper sleep will be longer. The cycles of sleep, which should be uninterrupted, other than when we get a call in nature. But there is a thing. I mean, all the blue blocking glasses will help, but technology at night and coffee when used at the wrong time, the depth of sleep, it can often be really improved by eliminating the causes of other things.
What if you create bad habits during a sleep divorce? For example, we don't share a bed when I'm working early shifts, and so I've become a bit of a wrapping myself up like a, what would you call it, in the duvet. And then at the weekends, I get accused of being a duvet hog, unfairly.
Strangely, I have been accused of similar.
Yeah.
There's always one. But look, I think there's a lot to be said from having times apart. I think all relationships, the time apart is as important as the time together. I've spoken to plenty of couples who've moved out of the bedroom situation, 2 bedrooms, and the excitement of sneaking into the other's room becomes a whole new thing that goes back to sort of teenage.
It's good enough for the Queen. Got to be good enough for the rest of us.
Exactly.
I remember when I was, 10 or 11 or so, there was a programme on television at tea time every night called Crossroads on ITV. And Meg Mortimer and her husband, they always slept. It was separate beds. found this most strange because it didn't relate to sort of everyday life, but they had single beds in their bedroom, and that's a way for some people.
The north wing and the south wing. But look, eye masks, earplugs.
Well, I
What
didn't
about having your
realise-
own duvet?
There's so many
Same bed,
solutions.
but your own duvet.
Have your own duvet. And there are even ways to have under the bed, under the actual mattress, the surface of your topper preferably,
Yes.
you can adjust the temperature. Because in summer, that's another big deal because people are at different temperatures.
Oh, yeah, I'm always freezing.
And heat makes it hard to sleep.
Yeah.
So there's a whole... But it's also subjective and personal. I mean, everyone has to find what works for them. I mean, I think study the people who study it, glean all the research, and then apply what you think suits
Good
for
man,
you.
Max. OK, Max Kirsten is a sleep coach. Get in touch with us this morning and let us know how you slept last night. And
We did actually have some email. I was thinking, oh, here we go.
With your own or your partner or whatever.
Yeah, the sweet one, Avi in Norwich, said, my lovely husband and I have been married 56 years, still in love, sleep cuddled up, even if we have to throw the covers off in the summer to stay cool.
There you
Sweet
go.
stories.
That's the way to do it. Right.